Hi everyone and welcome to the All Things ITSM Global podcast. We're coming to you from FUSION15 in New Orleans. I'm Kirsty McGowan and I'm here with Mark Smalling.
Hiya.
Carlos Casanova.
Hello, Kirsty.
And we're welcoming Eddie Vidal. Hi Eddie.
Hey.
Lovely to have you here.
Thank you for having me. I'm having such a good time.
Yeah.
It's great seeing you all again after meeting you in Norway.
Yeah.
Yeah, and for a change, you're on the receiving end of a podcast, of an interview.
I'm not going to be sure how to answer these questions. I'll have to watch my language too.
Just be yourself, Eddie.
Okay.
So Eddie, so far, I mean, I know it's still the first day of the conference. I know there was the DevOps pieces beforehand and stuff. You know, you've been, I'm assuming, around different sessions. What are you seeing so far? What do you think so far?
I've sort of been selfish because as a track chair, I'm the track chair for the industry insights.
Okay.
So it's all practitioners sharing their stories.
Right.
And so far I've had Penn State and I've had Fidelity Investments talk about their journeys and what they've implemented. Penn State did a service management office. Fidelity, what was really interesting is they started to putting together what IT service management value and they put it to dollars and they matched it up with some of the literature and stock portfolios that they sent out there and how it looked and I really liked their story. So basically I've been just sitting in the sessions in my track. So I haven't
just sitting
really,
around not doing anything?
Yeah, well.
Well, I mean, and that's one thing a lot of people don't, I guess, really understand about the conferences. I mean, all of the work for the track chairs and the organizers really happens, well before. And by the time the first day comes, you're almost kind of like almost done. And now it's, from a track chair, you still have, a continuation and stuff. But yeah, there's a lot of work that leads up to putting it on.
This is such a release. This is the best part of it. I mean, you start about 6 months
Right.
in advance. And at least for Fusion, they had over 400 submissions, and in Industry Insights track, they had over 50 submissions. And this was somebody that I selected because she rocks. And let me tell you,
I hope I will.
she will. And it's interesting. I mean, there's some great stories to share, but it's not only the story, but how you present yourself. And, I've been fortunate enough to do this. This is the 5th year in a row for me. And I'm honored and humble. And the greatest thing about this is, and I wrote about it, I'm not the smartest person in the room, and I get to ask all these people questions and pick their brains.
Right.
And it's great that when they can share their knowledge with other people, and that's what I really enjoy the most.
Right. So you have a lot of different interests, you're so well tanned, and I'm jealous, being from Rhode Island. But I mean, there's it's got to cross the boundaries. What we see here, the service management stuff. All these companies, all their advances and whatnot. I mean, do you see any parallels, in what we see, day to day in our 9 to 5 or ideally 9 to 5 jobs with other stuff that you're experiencing?
I do. It's interesting because you asked me that before. Now, the parallel I see, and let's talk about beach volleyball. In beach volleyball, some of the best athletes in the world right now are in their late 30s and early 40s. It's not the 22-year-old young buck who can run circles around you. And the way that I compare that to is IT service management. How many 25-year-old service management managers and people do you see out there?
Right.
I mean, not to give away our ages, but we get better with experience.
I just turned 26.
You did? Oh, you look pretty
good, huh?
But we get, I think with service management, and I talk to other people in different careers, is like their career will finish in their 40s or 50s. And for us, I just think it's getting better and better. And we have this ceiling that I see that in some sports, and at least with my tan and being out on the beach. And if you look next year in the Rio Olympics, you're going to see a lot of these individuals are in their late 30s and early 40s.
Wow.
And it's...
So there's still hope?
There's maybe a little bit of hope for me. I can give this gig up and go to the beach full time, but that's just a dream.
That would be nice.
What about the presentations in your track? Have you seen people being able to translate their ITSM efforts into what it actually means in terms of business outcomes? How does it change an insurance company in terms of insurance business, not IT? Because that's quite a difficult topic, translating IT to business.
Well, the Fidelity one was really interesting because they couldn't use the numbers at their organization, so they created a fictitious airline, and they talked about what happens if this airline was down for an hour. What cost would it be? Right. And they talked about the cost to the customer. They talked the cost about the call center. They talked the cost about the mechanic. And the thing is, a lot of times we put value into something, But we don't, it's really hard for us to, I think, communicate what value is lost when systems are down.
Right.
And these guys were able to put that story into play and share that, and that's, I mean, one that I have to share. Also, it's hard to sit through the whole presentation because you're walking around, but the service management office at Penn State, they talked about all the processes that they were putting in place. And what was amazing is they had like 64 different IT departments and how they were all trying to bring them together. So at the end of the day, and even the presentation that I did, I talk about at a higher ed university, it's very decentralized. And what I did is I was able to combine 3 service desks into one. And the value behind it is that we now went 24/7. So professors and people that were working after hours before, they couldn't get any support. We were able to do that. We're able to cross-train people to answer different skill groups. We have individuals now that not only do technical support, they do academic support and clinical support. So I know that right there brings value to the business because I can use less people to handle more support.
Yeah.
Well, and I think in cases like that too, I mean, you got a lot of broader coverage. So you don't have to have, not because you need them for the full time, but you need to have 3 people there for those hours versus one person. Hey, if the volume isn't that high, I only need that person for an hour, but it's 10 minutes here and 20 minutes there. So if you can get that cross training, that's got to be a tremendous value that's being offered now.
It's helped a lot because when the individuals work on nights and weekends, they have to handle all types of calls.
Right.
So the cross training and the ramp up to get them there is a little bit difficult because they got to learn a little bit of everything. But what we did is we set up this call menu tree and we had all these different options. And what I did is, and I said this in my presentation, when you call a call center or you call a credit card company, do you listen to the recording? No. You press 0, right?
Yeah.
Or you press 1. And so that's
Representative, please.
Yeah, and that's what we did. And 1 is general information password reset. We had a technical skill group on option number 1 before, and everybody was using our technical resources for individual generalized questions. So we changed that model all around.
Yeah.
And that's another way of how to bring value to the business and the end user.
Yeah. I think if you manage to translate the ITSM efforts into business outcomes, it has the additional advantage of giving people a sense of the purpose, what they're actually doing. I'm doing my job, but what difference does it make? And that ties in with our first keynote speaker today, Dan Pink, who in one of his previous books said motivation and personal satisfaction about, you know the story, autonomy, mastery, and in particular, I think, purpose. If you can give people those 3 things, they'll perform better and get more personal satisfaction out of their work.
I went up to him and I said, I don't want to sound like a groupie, but there are a few books that I've read twice, and Drive is one of them.
Yeah.
Right.
It's sort of the light bulb went off.
Yeah.
And it describes, tell me what to do and leave me the heck alone.
Right.
And I'll deliver for you.
Right.
And so that's more, I work better as being autonomous.
Right.
And not everybody's like that, but I agree.
But
it
I
tells
think
an amazing story.
But I think to your point, I mean, it's the ownership. Once individuals have a sense of ownership, once you're past they're being paid fairly, they have whatever fair autonomy. If there's a sense of ownership that what I'm doing has a direct implication, or at least I know, what steps it's going to deliver to business value, I'm going to say, well, hey, I'm responsible for this. And look, there's the exceptions of those people that don't, and we can't talk about those. But most people have it, if they have a sense of ownership, they're going to do more because they feel, empowered to do it, and they feel that there's a thing. And I think that's where we lose that sometimes. Like, hey, you know what, Eddie, just do X, Y, and Z and just shut up. And once we do that, we basically take you out of caring. It's like, okay, I'm doing X, Y, and Z.
I mean,
Right,
it
wrong, or
has to
indifferent.
become personal in some
Yeah.
way. It has to actually mean something to
Right.
you. Otherwise, there just doesn't seem to be any value in doing it.
Right. You see that there's the implications of what it comes out on the business value side of it. You have a sense of ownership and value that you're doing something, not because you walk in at 8 in the morning and you walk out at 5, but hey, what I'm doing is actually delivering. And when the company isn't doing well, I take it personally. When the company's doing well, I take it personally. Hey, I had a part in that. If I don't feel I have a part in it, we spend far too much time at work to be
You
going
need to
through
be
the
invested in
motions.
it.
So
I mean, a business that's staffed by a whole lot of automatons is never going to be as successful as a business that's staffed by people who actually care about what they're doing
exactly.
and what they're contributing to.
How many dollars are lost, do you think, because employees are not engaged in their organization?
I think it's huge.
How many call in sick?
Yeah.
How many just wing it and
Yeah.
just call it a day?
Yep.
I mean, I know going way back, I've always said it's like I never want to wake up thinking I have to go to work.
Yeah.
Yeah, if that's the case, then I need to move on. I need to do
you
something
need to
else.
find something
And
you
don't
do.
get me wrong,
Yeah.
there's periods in your career and stuff that,
Yeah.
that's fine. But generally speaking, when and we all have friends or family members that, they're just grinding through, and you just sit there and you're like, this is a long time to, to grind through that. And I'm not saying you have to be ecstatic about it, but you have to know what it is. And when you know that there's some value you're providing, at least you feel like you accomplished something. You didn't just go through the motions.
Yeah. So I hear people say, I wish I could win the lottery tomorrow, because then I'd give up work tomorrow.
Right.
Man, if you give up work tomorrow, then perhaps you should be looking for a new
For something
job
else, yeah,
today.
exactly.
If you're really not enjoying it, so
Yeah.
that you wouldn't want to go back if you had.
If it's
money
that,
back,
if it's really that
yeah,
bad,
yeah.
then
Just go
just
look
from
for something else.
Yeah, exactly. So.
If I win the lottery, I'm going to be a beach volleyball player.
Yeah.
If you win the lottery, I'm not going back to work tomorrow.
Yeah.
That's too funny.
Well, thank you very much, Eddie. It's great to have you on, and seeing you again. It's always great seeing you at the conferences. And,
Yeah, you did
Good
very,
seeing you
you
again.
did very
Thanks,
well as an interviewee.
Yes.
Well, thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Eddie. Thanks for your
I've had
time.
a
It's
little
been great.
bit of practice.
And I'll see you tomorrow.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Eddie.